Well, it's 0800, 14 September 2024. And we are not ready, but we're underway. It's been a while since we've had a little discussion. I've been a busy boy. As you can tell, we're not stowed for sea. But today we have an outgoing tide, and if not a favorable wind, at least not a foul wind. The winds are very light. I do have the new 130 jib out, and it's sometimes catching wind, sometimes not. I didn't put the Maine up because I figured when it wasn't catching wind, it would slow me down. So we're pushing with the dinghy. We've gotten a lot of electrical work done. We've got some of the cabin work done that we wanted to do. We've got the sanitation system, the holding tank, etc., all rebuilt. The water system is all rebuilt. The electrical system, probably 90% of the crap wire has been pulled out and new wire replaced it. She's got an all-new panel, new AC panel, all of that stuff. I still have a little bit of work to do to that. But I needed to take advantage of this tide and wind situation, because who knows what it's going to be in 2 weeks when the tide's fair for pushing out of the river again. So we're running downriver, eventually work our way down to Rockland, where there is Hamilton ME, which is an outstanding channeler for any little things that I need. Doing the rewiring I needed to, when I did the smoke test for the wiring that I had done, I noticed that my stern light's not working. It's an incandescent stern light, and it's pretty corroded, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up new nav lights, new LED nav lights, and change those out as well. Well, as the sun goes down, we sit here anchored in 4 Point Cove, just off of Cape Jellison, mouth of the Penobscot River. Winds picked up this afternoon, but I decided to go ahead and stay here. I got here about 3:30, and I decided, let's not go anywhere. Tomorrow I won't go far, just across the bay, probably to Northport. I doubt if I'll go much further than that. It's supposed to be flat calm in the morning, and then southwest winds pick up later in the afternoon. But I might just go across the bay. I'm tweaking some stuff, and I'll anchor up there for the night, and then continue on down to Rockland on Monday. But we are feeling good being underway again. Our first sunset on the trip south, 24-25. It's Sunday, the Ides of September, September 15th, 2024. It's about 10:30. I got underway at about 10:20 this morning. It was absolutely a mill pond out here until just a little while ago. The winds are going to be very light all day, but we're moving. And listen, the only engine you hear is way over there, and I think it's even on the road. So we're in about 5 knots of wind. Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's 10 knots of wind. I bet we're barely in 5 knots of wind. And the new sails are pulling us right along. I have no idea how fast I'm going, don't really care, but I am moving. Just coming out of the cove and looking off into the bay, and the bay looks just absolutely flat. So we'll see if we end up doing some drifting today. I'm not going very far. It's only, I don't know, maybe 10 miles to Northport, and I'll anchor up there for the evening. just simply because it's so calm. If I even make it that far, I don't plan to start a motor again, except to get into shore or something like that. For the rest of this trip, I don't plan to push any at all, unless I absolutely have to. I won't say I won't, but I'm not planning to. Oh, getting a little too close, Come on over here. So, I'm not even running the autopilot right now. I'm self-steering, and I installed a couple of cam cleats on the tiller yesterday so I can lock the tiller. So I'm going to work on, now that I have some decent sails, I'm going to work on finding out how this boat will steer herself. And I also bought just a whole bunch of surgical tubing. And I'm going to teach myself sheet to tiller steering and see if I can't get that working on a lot of cases. And if I can do that, then maybe I won't get a wind steering vane. I don't know. The future's in the future. I have no idea what it's going to bring us. But we're going to have to sail across the mouth of the river and then tack to get the angle to get past the ledge here that's right in the mouth of the river. And we'll bebop around. And if we can't get out of the river, well, we'll just go back to Fort Point and anchor again. I'm going to play the game. Skookum is a sailboat. And the more we sail, the more I like her. Here we are, all anchored up and nice. That's Islesboro over there. Moon's almost full, but not quite. Maybe tomorrow or the next night. We're here at Bayside in Northport, Maine. Anchored just off of the mooring field. Came here today to see an old friend. I was able to chat with him for a little while. And also Marita's going to come down and stay tonight on the boat and then head back and do her thing for the rest of the week while I get further and further down the coast. It was a great sail today. Started off a little slow. Skookum did it. These new sails are fabulous. Got a few things I need to tweak on the Maine, but the jib is great. We ended up having some nice southwesterly breezes, so close hauled, pointed just as tight as she would go, and we were scooting right along. It is so nice having good sails. Nice calm night right now. Marita will be along shortly. We'll get up in the morning, go have breakfast somewhere in the area, maybe over to Belfast, which is off in that direction there. And then she'll drop me back off and I'll get on, and I'm supposed to have southwest winds all day tomorrow, which means I'll be close hauled all the way down the bay in that direction. Pull into Rockland, and I need to make a trip to Hamden Marine while I'm there and pick up some new nav lights and that sort of thing. And then I'm gonna decide, I gotta look at the weather. There's some nasty weather coming up the coast. I may try coasting it down the coast of Maine and down to Cascade Bay, the Portland area. And till that passes, and then I should have nice winds to head south with. We will see. It's all about sailing. What a beautiful night. Well, good morning. It's Monday, September 16th, 2024. Coming up on 11:30 in the morning. As you can tell by my all-American apparent wind indicator, the winds, they are very, very slack. And it's nice and calm. Got up this morning, had a nice casual morning. Marita's off and running. And I've decided I'm just gonna stay right here for another day, because it's kind of nice. Took a good look at the forecast on the Windy app this morning, and there's going to be a little nastiness coming up. And if I was to push to Rockland and grab the parts I want and get that done and push to be out of here tomorrow or the next day, that would put me down at the Cape Cod, just about the time the nastiness got to be the nastiest. So I'm not interested in that. So I'm going to take it easy today with the plan of getting underway tomorrow, and I may make it to Rockland, I may not. I may stop someplace halfway down. And then go the next day and go in and at some point run into Hamden Marine and get the lights that I want, and I need some hinges and stuff. And then Sunday, we'll see what happens. Got to talk to my daughter, but Sunday, maybe the grandkids can come down and I can take them sailing for the first time. We didn't do any sailing this year because the boat was on a mooring up the river, and I had her torn apart most of the summer. So I ought to have all the little tweaks done to her by Sunday. And if they can come down, I could take them sailing for a couple hours. And that would be a lot of fun. And then with the plan of getting underway Monday, and I don't know, I'll work down the coast or something. Put myself into a position so when the nastiness dissipates, I can grab the wind and start working my way down the coast. There is no rush. It's not the middle of the winter time when I'm trying to get south. We've got marvelous weather. May as well enjoy it. It's Tuesday, September 17th. Midday sometime. 11 or 12 o'clock. I don't know. Don't have my watch on. We are tacking down the western Penobscot Bay, dodging lobster pots, riding the tide, working our way down to Rockland. Dead calm this morning, and then we got underway with just a whisper of breeze, and it's been up and down, but we've gotten to play with the boat some today. It's amazing how nice this boat sails, with sails that are designed for and not oversized and stretched out of shape and what have you. I've not turned the autopilot on all day, and the only time I'm taking the helm That's when I'm dodging lobster butts. I mean, we're running close hauled, so that's the easiest point to get her to self-steer on, but it's like a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. I gotta check for lobster pots. There we go, good. But we're going down. We'll get to Rockland here in another couple of 3 hours, and we'll anchor up there. Checking the forecast last night, we may be able to get underway Monday or Tuesday, and the nastiness will have passed by the time I get to Cape Cod. So that means I'll just continue straight on around Cape Cod and keep heading south. I was thinking I was going to have to go to like Boston or something and hang out for a little while. But if the forecast holds or improves, I'll be out of here Monday, Tuesday at the latest, heading south. Sunday I'm going to hang out regardless of what the forecast says, because my grandbabies are going to come down to Rockland and I'm going to take them sailing for the first time. And hoo-yah, won't that be a lot of fun. But we are underway in Penobscot Bay, approaching Lincolnville. There's the Hampden Hills right over there. Dodging lobster pots and running close hauled with an ebb tide. Hoo-yah. Well, it's September 20th, about 10 minutes past 11 in the morning. We just got anchored and secured here in Rockland Harbor, Rockland, Maine. And it's blowing a little bit. We came up close to the breakwater, and close to the Samoset Resort. They have 3 free moorings here if anybody's interested. And they're supposedly quite stout, so come on up and grab one. I didn't. I grabbed my anchor, as is my custom. Plus, the way the wind's blowing right now, it would have been single-handed. It would have been a tricky endeavor to sneak right up on a mooring and go. I'm not that, well, I don't know. I may be that good, but I don't know that I'm that good, especially by myself. If I had to, I would have tried it, but I prefer the anchor anyway. I know what I've got when I've got my anchor out. So anyway, here we are in Rockland. There's a beautiful schooner right over there. A couple of high-dollar catamarans off over that way. There's a big cruise ship off over that way. The town is right behind me. I came over here to this end instead of one of the other 3 anchorages in town. because the way the wind's going to be blowing for the next few days, it's supposed to be a little brisk. And sitting here right now, there are waves crashing over the break wall, and it's blowing pretty good. It wasn't too bad when I got up. The closer I got to the coast, the more it picked up. We got this big nasty off the coast right now, and it's supposed to get closer and closer over the next couple of days. So I don't think we're going to get the 40 or 50 mile an hour winds, but I think we'll see the mid-20s anyway. So here the holding is great. I'm in the lee of the break wall. I'm feeling the wind, but it's nice and calm, nice and flat. And if she starts to drag, I've got a long way to go to get her underway and get the anchor recovered and get it reset. If I was over there, I'd drag right into the mooring field, and that would not be a good day. So we had a good sail coming down from 700 Acre Island, and trying her out, and kept full main and full jib up, running wing and wing for a lot longer than I should have. I wanted to see how she did, and she did. She did quite well. I don't know that I would ever leave things up full in the winds that I ended up with down here. At one point she jibed all standing as I was trying to dodge a lobster pot, and we got into a bit of a tangle with that, but we recovered it, and learning the boat. It's nice having a boat that's got balanced sails. They don't just need to fit the dimensions, but the square footage. This mainsail on her now is roachless. There's no battens on her. It's just like having a jib on my mainmast. So no roach. And the 130 Genoa and the mainsail are within 10 feet of each other square foot wise. So when both those sails are out, she's fairly balanced. She's got a little twist because the main's a little behind her, but oh yeah, so nice, so much nicer than the conglomeration of Frankenstein sails that were on her when I first bought her, when I took her to North Carolina and back. With the old rig, I had to reef to be able to sail wing and wing, or she became unmanageable with the winds picking up and what have you. And most of the time I sailed that boat, I sailed that mainsail reefed with a single reef in it just to get the boat to balance. So, but now she balances very nicely, very nicely. So, well, I'm going to be here for a few days. Last time I looked at the weather was last night, and it looked like Tuesday would be a good day to go. Today is Friday. My grandbabies are going to come down and see me on Sunday. It may be a little too much to be able to take them sailing for their first time, but I'm close enough to a spot right here. I can dinghy in, get them, bring them out, and we can spend the day on the boat or going around town doing things. So that'll be fun, and do my final preps for heading offshore. Learned a couple of things I want to change today, and I still need to go over to Hamilton Marine here in town and grab a couple of grab some new LED nav lights, and then I'll get those changed out this weekend, and we'll be ready to go. I'm not going ashore today. I'm just going to hang out and chill, take a good bath maybe, and just lay around in my pajamas and just relax
and tomorrow we'll head over to the chandlery and get what we need. Away we'll go.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, the 25th of September. We've been underway about 12 minutes now. It's coming up on 8 o'clock. And we are just leaving Rockland Harbor. Let's see here if I can do this. I'm running a gauntlet of lobster pots. There you go. There's the lighthouse at Rockland. Oh, we're just leaving Rockland Harbor. And with any luck, based on the forecast I looked at this morning, if I can average 5 knots over the next 9 days and 6 hours, in 9 days and 6 hours, I will be at the sea buoy to the channel going into Brunswick, Georgia. And I will have sailed from Rockland, Maine to Georgia nonstop, if the weather holds. We'll see what happens. Wish me luck. But for right now, Georgia, Georgia, an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Wish me luck. See you later.
It's 19:05 on the 25th. We have completed our first day at sea. Now we're starting our first night at sea on this trip to Georgia. Skookum has performed magnificently. I had to do just about every point of sail I could to make it all the way through the maze of lobster pots coming out of Penobscot Bay and even past Matinicus until I got out of the deepwater lobstering ground. I didn't think I was ever going to stop seeing the lobster traps that were just trying to snag me by the keel. But we finally got past them, touch wood, and hopefully we won't have any issues if Poseidon and Neptune will take care of this old shellback. She's done well. We've been broad reaching, and then we were reaching, and now we're close reaching. Just before sunset, I pulled a reef into the Maine. We're dancing now anywhere from 4.7 to 5.3 knots, holding our course to Nantucket Shoal. I've seen 8 knots today at times, and I've seen bare steerage way today at times. Skookum's doing it. The new sails are working great, and I look forward to many good years of use with those sails. So, but we're doing well. It's dark. We're running under a reefed main and the full 130 Genoa. Got the tricolor light on, and it's time to set night watches. It's a gloomy day. Let's come back down in here. It's gloomy outside. Oh, we've just done our calculation for our first 24-hour run. We did 120.4 miles in 24 hours, which works out to 5.02 nautical miles per hour on average. Pretty good, I think, for this boat. These sails are really kicking it. And considering that
the first part of the day was barely steerage way, and we had some other slack moments. But since early afternoon yesterday, we've been making 5-6 knots, sometimes 7. I even saw a touch of 8 for a minute. And last night, just before sunset, I put the first reef in the Maine just because I thought it might be required later based on the weather forecast and so forth. I guess I can take my hand out of the camera. And then, midnight, maybe a little before, I pulled the 130 down to 100, and we were still cooking along at 6 knots. So we've made our 5-knot average for the first day. So, like I said, if I can average 5 knots, the trip to Brunswick, Georgia will be 9 days and 6 hours. But of course, that calculation was done with straight lines and so forth, and I have never sailed a straight line. So we will see what we get. But even if it's not 9 days and 6 hours, even if it's 10 days or 11 days or 12 days, even if it's 2 weeks, that'll still be a nice run to Georgia if we can do it nonstop. Let's hope the weather holds. It's noontime on day 2 of our trip to Georgia, 26th of September. I'm off Cape Cod, about 20 miles off of Cape Cod. There was no way I was going to be able to clear, as I was only able to hold a line for basically right in the center of Cape Cod. So I have tacked. About 10 o'clock this morning I tacked, and I also pulled in the second reef of my mainsail, and we're still making 6 knots now. And it's a little rough. Only able to make a course of, just south of east. Hopefully this will give me enough. If I hold this for a couple hours, this will give me enough that I'll be able to tack again and then hold a line for clearing Nantucket Shoal. The winds are supposed to come south, so that might hinder that just a little bit. It's supposed to get a little sporting tonight and then tomorrow calm. So we may just polish this piece of water for a little while before things shift around a little bit and I can make it around the shoal and continue on my course. So, like I say, never sail on a straight line. As long as I can make it down there within a couple of weeks, that'll be cool. Hopefully no hurricanes will manifest themselves between now and then, and I'll, once we get around this cape, have a nice easy run. Knock on wood. It's 4:15 on day 2, and I just tacked, so now we're port tack, or what I like to call my throw me out of my bunk tack, heading southwest. Probably in the direction of Monomoy Shoal, maybe Nantucket, maybe the south end of whatever this cape is, Cape Cod. I'm getting tired. All day we've been on a 15-degree heel and very bouncy, so it's hard just moving around. I've been trying to just get up every once in a while and check on things and lay back down. Raymond's out there saving my life right now, driving the boat. So, hoo-yah, Ray Marine, thank you very much for a fine product. So I keep looking. We're leffing and touching basically because Raymond tends to swing her a little bit. But this is as close as we can do. I just listened to 2 different radio stations, 2 different
VHF weather stations, and they both gave me a different forecast for the same area. So I guess we'll get what we get. But I guess the consensus is that it's supposed to calm here a little bit, well, probably by midnight. The winds are going to come either west or northwest at 5. So we're going to drop from 15 gusts to 25 to 5. But it'll be in the west or northwest direction. So based on what we're doing right now and where I'm at, I'm going to be over by the Boston traffic separation scheme by about 9. Hopefully the wind shift will have happened at that point and it'll calm. Otherwise I'll tack again and just repeat the same operation I just did. And then tonight when things calm, I'll try to come back around. Don't have a lot of local knowledge for Nantucket Shoals, so I want to give it a berth. And then tomorrow it's supposed to be partly sunny, I hope, and yeah, winds. I can't remember if they're going to be favorable or not. Yeah, like I say, I'm getting tired. I didn't sleep well last night. I've napped all day today when I've had the opportunity. But this motion is tiring. It really is. So things will calm here in a little bit. We'll get back into our normal trim. But another hour and a half it'll be dark. Well, 2 hours it'll be dark. And next tack will be under the brilliant lights of my spreader lights. Well, it's sundown, day 2, the 26th of September. And today has not been much fun. Trying upon trying to get around Cape Cod. And the wind and the seas just is not going to allow it. So here a little while ago, I finally said to heck with it. And instead of being close-hauled and pounding, we are now on a reach, which means, looking at the chart up there, instead of heading down towards Nantucket, we're heading a little north of Providencetown. And we're about 6 hours from the Boston traffic separation scheme. So just before we get to that, we will tack and start heading away from the Boston separation scheme. Just heard a forecast on the weather radio, and it's weird how 2 different channels will have 2 different forecasts about the same place. But the consensus now has become that the winds are going to ease the closer we get to midnight. And they're also going to come out of the southwest and then the west, and then tomorrow go northwest. And they're going to be light, like 5 miles an hour, which, holy smokes, compared to what we've been dealing with today, that'll be like we're standing still. But I'm going to run this course just before I get to the traffic separation scheme. We'll tack and see how close to south we can hold. We need to kind of head south-southeast by south to go down the Cape and get around the shoals that are in the way. Why is Cape Cod always in the way? I don't know. It's like, why is the rum always gone? But anyway, this obstacle is always a challenge. So about midnight, or well, whenever we get to the traffic separation scheme, which will be around midnight, we'll go ahead and tack. Hopefully the winds will have calmed and come a little more to the southwest, which means we should be able to run straight down, and then maybe by morning, noon, something tomorrow, we'll be able to come west a little more and start making our way around this obstacle and towards Montauk. So much for 9 days and 6 hours, huh? So much for 9 days and 6 hours. We're still hoping for 2 weeks. That would be really cool, though. If we can do it in 2 weeks, that would be marvelous. So, that's it for now. We'll see you in the morning.
Well, it's 2023, and I've got noise up there. Well, I'm not going to get up right now and fix it. You'll just have to deal with it. I'm sitting on the cabin sole because you can't stay in a bunk because things are just that rolly out here. Here a little while ago, we got laid over pretty good, and I heard a loud slam, and oh my gosh, I went running trying to figure out what it was. And my batteries have broken loose from their battery mounts and slid over into the, well, they slid over. So the, excuse me, the cables are still all right. I've still got power on everything and what have you. So there's not a lot I can do about it right now. They don't appear to be moving anymore. They're wedged in there pretty good now. And in these conditions, I'm not going to start emptying a locker so that I can get access to 100-pound batteries and start moving them around. So I've got them secured as best I can, and we'll continue. And then I started looking, and it's like, where's this water coming from? This boat still makes a little water. It'll be a while before I get all of the issues. So she still makes a little water. But it was sloshing around a little bit more than what should have been. And I hit the bilge pump switch. Bilge pump worked fine. So I'm like, wonder if the float switch is messed up. So I pulled up the sole. Sure enough, no float switch. It's there, but it doesn't work. So I don't know if it's just the wires come loose or what, but I figure, well, it was all I could do to just get that floorboard up and check it. So I'm just gonna reach up and hit the switch every hour for a little bit, and when this mess calms down out here, I'll see about taking the wires apart and seeing what's wrong, see if we can't get it fixed. I just listened to the weather again. They're still saying it's supposed to only be 5 knots of wind after midnight. But right now, ooh la la, I'll be glad when that front goes by and the wind dies. Yeah, can't sit in the bunk because you just keep getting thrown out of it. So I'm sitting on the cabin floor, taking a break. I might try to get cozy here and take a nap once I check around outside and whatnot, dealing with these other issues. I haven't looked outside in a little while, so I need to do that. So we'll get that done. Bang! That was a hard wave. It's rough out here. We're managing. It's not any fun. I'm not afraid or anything like that, but it's just a lot of work. And the sail's flogging a little bit. I guess I need to go adjust our course some. So anyway, I'm even thinking I'm headed right at Boston. Let's just head to Boston and take a break. This last day has really wiped me out. But if it does calm down after midnight, I mean, I'm 80 miles from Boston, so it's going to be a while getting there. But if 80 miles? It's at least 50 miles from Boston. I don't know how far I am from Boston. I'm a ways from Boston. So if things calm down and it gets nice, I'll keep going and I'll deal with things. But yeah, I got to go adjust course here. Keep the sails involved. I think the wind is starting to shift, and that's why every so often I have to go up and adjust the course to keep us engaged. Anyway, we're having fun tonight. Stay tuned. Well, it's 10:23, evening of our second day on this trip. About an hour ago, all of a sudden it started raining hard. They had said chances of thunderstorms and whatnot. I didn't see any thunder or lightning, but it started raining hard. And then all of a sudden, Raymond out there was saying, "Hey, I can't hold the course. Beep, 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 beep." So I went out and I threw my gear on. I went outside, and it was darker than the inside of Moby Dick. And threw on the light. That I have a little light set up in the cockpit, so I have a red light out there. I threw that on, and I could see the cockpit. I could see the boom above the cockpit. That was it. I could see the tricolor light at the masthead. That was it. It was raining. It was dark. And the jib kept flogging. So I kind of just could feel the wind, just moved the tiller, and hey, the jib stopped flogging, and I could see the compass, so I was listening to the jib, feeling the wind, and looking at the compass to keep the jib just pulling. And we went from a 280 course to a 290 course to a 300, all the way around, and at 060, to keep the jib from flogging, I said, this is ridiculous. It's time to stop. Should have done this hours ago. And I laid the helm over, backed the jib, lashed the helm down, and we have hove to. And just like that, we get the odd little jostle. But we're sitting here now drifting at about 2.5 knots. I calculate I have 6 to 8 hours before I absolutely have to do something, and that'll just be because of the traffic separation scheme for Boston. I could probably go 8 or 9 hours before I have to worry about bumping into Cape Cod. But should have done this long time ago. Why is it we always feel that we have to push, when all we're doing is beating ourselves up? Oh, that was the boom bouncing. I guess I need to go put a preventer on it or something. But here we are, calm. Now I'm not getting thrown around. I'm not going to get thrown out of my bunk if I try to lay down and go to sleep, which I am going to do because I'm just out here drifting. I'm the only one out here. Nobody's on AIS. I did hear a Coast Guard call here a little while ago saying that there was a sailboat in distress in Cape Cod Bay, which is on the other side of the sand spit. I wonder if they just all of a sudden their engine quit running or something because they it's so rough out here. They stirred up their fuel and their engine shut down, and it's too windy for them to sail. I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't a dismasting or something, but same circumstance there. Heave to. Sailors have to remember, heaving to is your get out of jail free card. I can lay down right now and go to sleep and not worry about anything because the boat will take care of herself. I'm not going to break any gear. Everything is fine. I just have to, make sure that I'm doing something before I get into the traffic separation scheme. So I'm going to take about a 5-hour nap and then figure out what I'm going to do with that. So anyway, this trip just keeps on getting better. Well, good morning. It's 8:30 on day 3 of our adventure to go around Cape Cod. My word, you know, nothing against Cape Cod or the people that live there, but if global warming was to sink that thing so you could go straight from Maine to Florida without having to go around it, it wouldn't bother me one bit. Oh, yeah, probably shouldn't have said that, but well, there you have it. Anyway, it went completely becalmed last night, as I said, and I had set the Genoa on the pole and furled it in tight, so it was basically just out there so it wouldn't flog, but it was out there to give me a little stability, so that I didn't have to listen to the Maine just flapping in the triangle. And that worked real nice because it was rolly last night, even though I was becalmed at one bit for most of the night, or well, the latter part of the night anyway. So all that done, I laid down and went to sleep, and I slept very deeply for 3 or 4 hours, which I feel much better now. Got up about 6:45, 7 o'clock, something like that, looked outside. Hey, there is a light breeze out of the west. The weather, VHF weather radio is saying it's 5 knots out of the west. So I turned the boat around, and with just that pulled out jib had steerage way. So I turned Raymond back on and let him drive while I commenced cleaning and drying up the inside of this boat some. What a nightmare 25 knots and 8-foot seas, 9-foot seas will do to the inside of your boat. So everything's wet, of course. It was raining, thunderstorms last night, what have you. Everything's wet. So I need a good, bright, warm, sunny day so I can open this thing up, hang things out, and let them dry.
Shining Star, Coast Guard, Roger. You can reach out to the Coast Guard vessel. It should be around the 2K buoy. They're the ones on scene who can help you with that. Over.
There you go, Coast Guard talking. So anyway, once I got the inside cleaned up a little bit, I went out and I set the full main and jib, no pole. We are now making about 3.5 knots. Last time I looked, we're making 4 knots now. I thought it sounded a little better. We're making 4.5 knots on course to our turning point, which is 80 miles away. So day 3 of my 9-day, 6-hour journey to Georgia is going to be spent still trying to get around Cape Cod. The winds are supposed to stay the way they are right now for most of the day, if not all day. And then sometime tonight, they're supposed to veer around and come east. So that will be a good thing. Of course, I'll have to go through south winds before they come east. But that's all right. As long as they don't pick up the way they did yesterday, we'll be able to close haul and go. Many years ago, Serenity, my last boat, tried to teach me that when it's 25 knots of wind, you can't tack into it. It's best to just heave to, wait for the wind to calm or change direction, and then continue. Well, I guess I forgot that lesson because I spent the day yesterday tacking close hauled into 25 knots of wind to no avail. And all that did was put me a lot further north than I wanted to be by the end of the day, wore me out, wear and tear on the gear, all of that. Had I heaved to when I first got down here and did my first tack to try to get a little sea room so that I could tack again, on that first tack, had I just heaved to, I could have sat down there. I wouldn't have lost that much distance,
and I'd have been going away from shore. Wouldn't have lost that much distance, and this morning I would be much better off. So thank you for the reminder of how to sail a boat. So anyway, I'm going to drink a cup of coffee. First real coffee I've had in 3 days, since the cup I had 3 days ago when we got underway. Any other coffee I've had has been the Folgers coffee bag, because I haven't been able to get my coffee maker out. So I'm going to have this cup of coffee. I'm going to do some more cleaning and organizing in this boat. That kind of sea really tells you, really shows you how poorly you're stowed for sea. So we're going to do some more work. And then I think I'm not going to start any big projects today. I need rest. I'm going to rest. Tomorrow, the forecast is saying we're going to have east, southeast, northeast winds 5 to 10. So if I can get down to my turning point south of Nantucket Shoal, then maybe I can start heading west to go along Long Island, and then south once we get in the vicinity of New York, and see how long it'll take this 9-day, 6-hour journey to Georgia to actually take. Might take that long just to get around Cape Cod. Holy smokes. Liberty of the Seas. Bahamian flag. Well, it's noontime, and the winds were so light, normal sail wouldn't hold. So light you can feel the puffs occasionally, but barely. So I decided to try out my new ATN tacker, which you see right there. If you watched my videos coming up from North Carolina last year, you know I tried using the spinnaker with the pole and doing things as per normal, and was just not able to get it to work by myself, maintaining course and getting things set and all that. I just not good enough with the spinnaker. I don't have that much experience with the spinnaker to be able to do anything with it. So I bought this tacker, and with the exception maybe of the brand new sails, that tacker is the best investment I've made for operating this boat since I bought her. Because now I can fly a spinnaker in light airs. We're making our course doing 4.5 knots in very light wind. It went up easy. It can't. Hopefully it'll come down easy. I did make the spinnaker sock for it. I don't see any reason why it won't come down as easily as it went up. So we're psyched. We can move now when the winds are very light. I like it.
Sector 12, please go ahead over. ETA to about River West Black Road is about 2 hours. Over. Sector 7, Roger, out.
It is about 10 minutes past 6 on our third day of our 9-day, 6-hour trip. Still haven't made it past Cape Cod. We have finally worked ourselves down to the south edge of Cape Cod, but we still have another 30 miles to go to be able to get around Nantucket Shoal. It's getting dark. I don't plan to try to cut through Nantucket Shoal. If this was early morning, sun was just coming up, I might go for it. I'm not going to do it at night with no local knowledge. So we're going to maintain this course. We're doing 1.5 knots. Been doing about that, 1 knot to 2 knots all day, especially once we get the spinnaker set. But we're barely able to get it set with the way the winds are blowing. But we're making way. Raymond's able to steer, so I haven't had to spend all day at the helm. Tonight, the winds are supposed to come south and then east after midnight. So within the next 6 hours, the winds are going to veer to be dead foul, at which point I will jibe the spinnaker and make a cut towards Nantucket Sound. We're far enough away that it should take me a little while to get there. I'm not worried about getting in there because the winds are only going to be 5 knots. And then when they come east, I can head south again, just on the other tack to clear the shoal. And then tomorrow, the winds are supposed to be out of the east 5 to 10 all day, which means spinnaker running all day, but with twice the wind. And then tomorrow night, it's supposed to go up 10 to 15, which by that time, hopefully, I'll be over by Block Island, somewhere in that area. Maybe even Montauk. Touch wood. I don't know what's going to happen when I get all this wood out of here. But anyway, today's a lot more comfortable than yesterday. I've done a lot of resting, gotten the boat cleaned up, and got some work done to her, and got the spinnaker figured out, and flying that now, and that's been a joy. Right now we're currently doing 1.5 knots. And I used to say, as long as I'm doing 1/10 of a knot in the right direction, I'm a happy boy. So I'm a really happy boy. I'm using an asymmetrical spinnaker as an asymmetrical spinnaker. So it's okay, but it's not setting as well as it could. So I guess next summer I'm going to have to build an asymmetrical spinnaker for this thing, or a code 0 or something. Yeah, we'll get her. She'll be a nice boat, well fitted out by the time we're done with her. So tonight, hopefully I'll be able to sleep well. There is nobody out here. I saw 2 ships this morning. I've seen 1 fishing boat. And Cito was just having a conversation with the Coast Guard saying that they've got a vessel in tow. And those are the only things I've seen or heard all day. So, no worries about bumping into anybody, I don't guess. But anyway, we're going to sign off for now. Talk to you again in the morning unless something occurs. Which, touch wood, it's time to turn in.
Good morning. Oh, we'll sit down here for a second. It's a little after sunrise. We were out here just before sunrise on the foredeck getting the spinnaker reset. Last night the winds were so calm nothing would hold, so I just set just a sliver of the jib amidships, pulled everything else down, and that sliver of jib was just so that any wind that was here would keep us pointed downwind. The wind was out of the northeast. What wind there was, you could barely feel it. Today we're, I don't know, I wouldn't even call it 5 knots of wind right yet, I don't think. Just listen to the forecast, and it said this today it's supposed to be 5 to 10, tonight 10 to 15 out of the east. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty close. We're east by northeast anyway, based on what we're steering and what the spinnaker's holding. So I take that to mean the winds are going to pick up throughout the day, and then we'll have a decent wind tonight, and then they're supposed to be east 5 to 10 again tomorrow morning. So let's hope. And if we keep the spinnaker out, maybe we can make some way and actually get around Nantucket. I've got coffee cooking. I slept well last night. Boy, I slept like a rock. Had a collision alarm on the AIS about 2 o'clock in the morning. Got up, there was a fishing boat coming at me. I hailed them, they answered. They saw me. We didn't bump. So, thank you AIS. Great technology to have on a boat. I think they had already seen me and were gonna navigate around me, but it was within my critical passage criteria. Closest point of approach. I could use that coffee. It's going to be another calm day like this. I'm going to see if I can get some ship's work done. Chain plates are leaking again, so I'm going to clear and rebed those again. This time I'm going to use butyl rubber. Hopefully that'll hold better than the life cock's been holding. We'll see. We'll get something done today, and hopefully we'll get down and around Nantucket. But right now, it's coffee time. There's Nantucket, way over there, just barely above the horizon. We're still sailing the spinnaker, which we've done all day. You can tell how calm it is. Let's see here, there's our all-American apparent wind indicator. So we've got a little wind, but not a lot. And let's see here, if we look in here, you see we're doing 3 knots. And you see we're coming up on a blue area there. We've got some shoals we gotta work our way across. The current here has just shifted direction, half hour ago. And within another 2 hours, we're going to get an extra 1.5 knots of current pushing us along. It would be nice to completely clear these shoals before sunset. I don't know that we'll make that. But these first ones right here, if it was any rougher than this, I wouldn't be trying this. There's one shoal going to be passing half mile off of our starboard side that's 9 foot deep, it says. Once I clear that, I'm going to come right just a few degrees, as much as I can, and then that'll put an 11-foot depth marker about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile off the port side. Once we clear that, won't be long, we'll be in at least 40 feet of water again, and I don't think I'll have to worry anymore after that, as long as the wind keeps blowing. which it is supposed to do. Touch wood. Yeah. It's been a marvelous day sailing. We've been getting some ship's work done. The chain plates are leaking again, so I just sealed the port side. I'll clear and seal the starboard side when I don't have a sail over there to get all covered with goo. Sailing along. Beautiful day. Hopefully, I'll get some cell phone service here pretty soon. At least send a text back to the family, let them know I'm okay. I was expecting to be a lot further along than this. Well, you know, Brunswick in 9 days and 6 hours. Well, it's 20 minutes past 6. We finally made it through enough of the shoal that I could make my course for Montauk. Finally getting around Cape Cod and Nantucket Shoal. It was calm enough out that I decided to go through it. And there was only a couple of places where it was like, yes, this is starting to shoal up, and then it starts to drop back down again. And my heart went back down where it belonged. But I was able to pick myself through it. Once again, if it was rough out, I would not have done that because, yeah, that would have been no fun at all on anything except for a calm day like today. But we're through it, or almost through it. We will be by midnight. But we don't have any real shallow spots ahead of us right now. Nantucket is right that way. So 6, 7, 8, by 9 o'clock, let's say by 10 o'clock, I'll say I'm around Cape Cod and around Nantucket. But we are en route right now. We've just made our course for Montauk, New York, where hopefully I can get into close enough to be able to get cell service so I can make some phone calls, check the weather, do that type of stuff. I finally found a radio station that I trust because what they say tends to be correct. And it's covering the area we're in right now. So we're saying 10 to 15 tonight, straight out of the east, with gusts up to 20 until midnight. And then after that, it's supposed to go down 5 to 10 knots out of the east again. So I pulled the spinnaker down because I don't want to have to be fighting with a spinnaker at night. And we sailed for a couple of hours under all plain sail, full main and full 130 Genoa. Now we're going straight downwind, according to my All-American apparent wind indicator. Straight downwind. So, not caring to deal with preventing the boom and and all that stuff. Then the gusts start happening, and oh my gosh, now I gotta reef or whatever. The main came down. We've got the Genoa poled on a starboard tack. So after midnight, the winds are supposed to come northeast. I shouldn't have to touch a thing all night. We're only doing about 2.5, 3 knots right now over the bottom. Looking at the bubbles, I'd say we're doing 4 knots anyway through the water. But the current has turned now, and we're pushing out 1 knot current, so that checks. So it's going to be an all-day run to Montauk, all night, and probably most of the day. I really need to go down and calculate the distance. But it's probably going to be this time tomorrow night anyway, before I get to Montauk and start running down the shore of Long Island. So much for a 9-day and 6-hour trip
Took me 4 days just to get around Cape Cod. But that's okay. Since I left 700 Acre Island, I have not sailed with a motor. I have not started a motor and pushed this boat. I started sailing at 700 Acre Island, and I have not pushed this boat yet with anything other than wind. I have started a motor because into town and back and forth with the dinghy and all that, but the dinghy's on deck now. Am I rambling? I think I might be. I've been out here for 4 days by myself. But we're sailing. The goal is to make it all the way to Brunswick, Georgia, non-stop, sailing all the way. Glad I've got the spinnaker. That was sweet making 4 knots, 3 knots, 4 knots with wind so light you couldn't even feel it. I'd like to have the spinnaker out right now, but be my luck something would happen, and then I'd have to douse the thing in the middle of the night by myself, and I don't want to do that. So we'll sail conservatively. As long as I'm making 1/10 of a knot in the right direction, that's all I care about. But I am interested in what's coming up the coast. Last I saw, there was a hurricane forming out in the Atlantic off of Senegal, so I'd kind of like to see where it is. The big storm that was coming up through the Gulf was supposed to go inland and not be a factor. And that's why I figured, well, if I can get around the storm that got hung up in over here on the other side of Cape Cod, I was hoping I was going to make it around Nantucket before that storm caught me, but I didn't make couldn't hold the angle. And then instead of heaving to and holding what I had, I tried tacking and doing all sorts of other things, and that just made the situation worse. So lesson learned, I hope. Serenity tried to teach it to me. Now Skookum's tried to teach it to me. One of these days, maybe I'll listen to my boats and learn. But we're out here, we're doing it. So that's the evening report. I'm feeling mist. I'm feeling a couple of raindrops. They did say a chance of rain. Look at that. Maybe we can get some of the salt washed off. Did some ship's work. Changed out a couple of lights for LED and resealed the port side chain plates. They started leaking again. I'll do starboard side tomorrow. And then so forth. Yeah, it's starting to rain. I'm going back inside. See you guys in the morning. It is Sunday, the 29th of September, 2024. I don't know, this is day 4 or 5 or 6 of this trip south. I'm in Narragansett Bay. Finally made it around Nantucket last night after dark. Haven't seen a decent weather forecast other than what you can get on the VHF since I left Rockland. Let me pull this up, it's a little chilly. And I've been dealing with strong winds or flat becalmed winds and so forth. It took me 4 days to get around Nantucket. Came into Narragansett Bay so I could get the internet so I could check the weather and see if I wanted to continue on further up. And I just looked at the windy app and it looks like we're going to continue on at least to Sandy Hook. Hopefully be there within a couple of days. And I'm going to tuck in there because it looks like by the time I get there, there'll be some nastiness that I don't want to deal with down, I don't know, around the Chesapeake or something like that. So
by that time, well, I'll be ready for a break. So this 9-day and 6-hour trip, it took me 4 days to get around Cape Cod. But we're underway still. You can tell the weather is not Caribbean. And it took me forever to get around the windmill farms that they're building out here. But we are moving and we are having a good time. So more later. Hopefully we'll have the internet for the rest of the way anyway to Sandy Hook. It's Monday morning, 10 o'clock, Monday the 30th of September 2024. I think it's day 6 of our 9-day and 6-hour trip to Georgia. We're run to a broad reach under the reefed jib, being poled out on a starboard tack, making 5.5 knots, headed towards Sandy Hook, Atlantic Highlands area. It's been really cloudy and dreary and miserable for the last several days, or it feels like several days. I guess it was not too bad day before yesterday, but yesterday was miserable. Today is not real pretty. They're saying a chance of showers tonight. Tomorrow's not supposed to be real pretty. Battery bank's getting kind of low. I want to charge up, but it's a little rolly and rough to be playing with the generator right now unless I absolutely had to, which I don't really need to. They're holding, but the autopilot's been running constantly now for 6 days, or all but constantly. And I cook with electricity, so we're keeping up, but it's slowly they're getting dwindled. If I get a day of sunshine, the sunshine would charge them back up, but I haven't had a day of sunshine in a couple of days, and I'm using things. So luckily I only have to run one light, the tricolor, at night since I'm sailing. We're going to stop at Sandy Hook. I should get there tonight somewhere between 10 o'clock and midnight. I'm going to pull in just right inside the bay, drop the hook, go to sleep, get up in the morning. Got a few projects I want to take care of while I'm there. I'm only going to spend 1 day. While I was in around Block Island, and yesterday I ended up having to go into Narragansett Bay to be able to get internet service so I could check the weather, so I could tell if I could keep going or not, or was I going to stop someplace, because all I could get was local weather over the VHF. So technically I could continue and make it all the way to Georgia, but I would have some heavy seas to contend with in the Chesapeake area, somewhere between Chesapeake and the Outer Banks. And it's like, why? I'm beat up, I'm tired. Let's take a day, pause, take care of a couple of projects, clean up a couple of things, take a bath, which would be really handy. And then Wednesday morning with the sun, we'll get up and we'll get underway again. And that will give that little bit of, it wouldn't have been any worse than the Gulf of Maine the other day, but why? Oh, my phone's ringing. I'll be right back with you. Sorry about that. I've got one bar. I'm about 8 miles, I guess, offshore. I've got one bar, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And just getting a call from Marita, but as soon as I answered, the call dropped and we're able to reconnect. So anyway, if I take a day's pause, I won't have to deal with the big seas and whatnot down around the Outer Banks. So okay, I'll do that. And by the looks of what the Windy app is showing, even with the pause, once I get underway again, I should be able to make it all the way down to Georgia without having to touch again. So I'm going to take a day, relax,
and get some projects done. And maybe if I'll have internet service, I might even go ahead and order the electric propulsion motor and all its assorted stuff for the unit itself, and start looking at batteries, and still haven't decided how I'm going to charge those up. But I know which motor and controller and all of that stuff I'm using, so I may as well get it ordered. I think last year when I was talking to them, they said they had about a 3-week turnaround. So that'll work well. I'll have a week to get to Georgia, and a week or two to get things, set up for it, and that'll work just well. So that's what I think I'm going to do. But anyway, not a lot's been going on other than just other than just sailing and dealing with the weather, and the windmill farms down between Nantucket and Block Island. That was a lot of fun too. So anyway, more later, maybe from the anchorage at Sandy Hook. 6 hours out from Sandy Hook. Here's New York City. As you can tell, it's a little rolly out. Wednesday the 9th of October, 9:40, we're underway, leaving Sandy Hook. We stayed here a lot longer than we had anticipated, but there's, hurricanes that are happening and all of that. So we're getting underway now, just heading for the Chesapeake, while Hurricane Milton is about to ravage Florida. We'll sit in the Chesapeake until the middle of next week, when hopefully we'll be able to round the Outer Banks and continue on to Georgia. So here we go, continuing on with our 9-day, 6-hour trip from Maine to Georgia. It's Friday, the 11th of October, and I'm in the Chesapeake Bay. Now, we started 2 days and 5 hours ago at Sandy Hook, doing pretty much what I'm doing right now, just ghosting along. I'm 6.5 miles from the anchorage I plan to drop my hook in today, and the wind is on our bow, and I can barely feel it. I'm making a knot and a half, and with the roll, the sails are slapping. About 5 hours after I got underway the other day, the wind picked up, and I was on a broad reach on the starboard tack under only the full jib. Maine was down, doing 7 knots, 6 knots, 7 knots. Never touched a sheet until just the other side of Cape Charles. And it was getting a little close to the shoreline, so I jibed, went about 5 miles offshore, 10 miles offshore. Oh, jib just backed. Let's see if we can get her back, or are we going to heave to? I guess we've hove to for a little while. Well, that's fine. So, went out a little ways, got a little more space, and then jibed again and came back in. And put the main up just as I was entering the Chesapeake Bay, and the wind was still good and strong, at least until I got inside of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel. Well, let's wear ship. We'll see if she'll go all the way around, since I'm hove to now. Take your mind off of it for a second, and here you go. So, 2 days, 5 hours. I've probably got another 5 hours to go to cover this 6 miles that I've got left until I hit the anchorage. If the wind dies completely, I'll just anchor right here. I'm in 21, 22 feet of water, 24 feet of water. I can just anchor right here. The plan was to anchor up just off the beach at Hampden, and just go to sleep, and then get up in the morning when the wind picks back up, and go someplace where I can hang out for a few days. But I may just hang out right here for the night, and just pick up anchor and move at sunlight. I'm not in a channel, and it's nice and flat, so we'll see what we end up doing. But our 9-day and 6-hour trip now has us becalmed and boxing the compass in the Chesapeake. Well, as the sun sets behind me, here I sit right in the middle of Chesapeake Bay, anchored in 25 feet of water. I got becalmed about 5.5 miles from where I had planned to anchor for the night. And then tomorrow I was going to get up and move to a more secure anchorage. But I sat there and boxed the compass for a couple of hours. And the windy app was saying the wind was supposed to pick up, but it never did, and it never did, and it never did, and it never did. So I figured, all right, the sun's about to go down. Let's get secured, get everything buttoned up, get a shower before the sun goes down so I could do it out in the cockpit and get nice and clean without filling up the bilge of the boat. And while I was showering, the wind picked up. So it's supposed to be about 5 to 10 knots tonight. It's about 10 right now. And Marine Force forecast is saying a foot or two, but I don't think we'll see 2 foot of seas, not at this location. The same forecast for tomorrow has the same winds and 1 foot or less. So, but irregardless of what it is, it's not going to be as bad as Fleming Key down to Key West during a storm, or Atlantic Highlands for the last 3 days that I was there. It was so rolly and windy there. This isn't going to be bad at all. But I'm here in the Chesapeake. Tomorrow I'm going to go someplace else. I'm thinking about maybe even going up to the Rappahannock. I'm going to be here until probably Thursday of next week. So I don't know. I'm going to go someplace good and secure, anchor up for the weather that's going to come during the week. If I go up the Rappahannock a little ways, I'll miss most of that, and I'm just sitting waiting for the weather to clear so I can round the Outer Banks now. When I have a good weather window for around the Outer Banks, then I'll get underway again. But we're in the Chesapeake, and the sun is setting.